Thank you for joining us for KREM News 10 at 10, where we give you more news in less time. I'm Nicole Hernandez. Mark is off tonight. We start tonight with a look at your Memorial Day weekend forecast. Weather hasn't really been great the last few days, but it hasn't been terrible either. So our chief meteorologist, Jeremy Legute, is here with us now. What does the weekend look like?
Well, it's all in how you look at it. You're right. It hasn't been terrible, and it's not going to be terrible, but tonight we do have a few more showers, and those showers do linger into the first half of the weekend. Notice everything is dissipating as we speak, and the reason is we've lost our sun, our daytime heating, our energy source for these storms. You got a lot of activity, especially if you move your way into northern Washington. A little storm just working its way toward Inchelium, making its way in with a little bit of thunder and lightning. That storm will continue to make its way toward Chihuahua. I don't think it has what it takes to bring widespread thunder to Chihuahua. Newport, expect a little more rain this evening. Looks like those showers don't die down until early tomorrow morning. We catch a quick break, but then tomorrow evening, it looks like our next round of showers moves in, but from the south. With that overall shift, our temperatures climb. We're back up near 70 tomorrow afternoon. Saturday, more widespread showers keep us near 60. Sunday, we turn the corner and dry out mid-60s. By Memorial Day, we're back in the 70s.
Well, all this week, our Environment Northwest team is covering the region to explain what it means to be living with wildfires. We've talked about our wildfire outlook and the impact of fire and smoke, but what about after the flames are out? Tonight, Sophia Bliss takes a closer look at what it takes for an area to recover.
In 2022, the Four Corners fire got incredibly close to cabins and homes in Cascade, Idaho. Thankfully, that fire was stopped at around 14,000 acres, but of course, it had an impact on the natural landscape. So we're here to examine how the landscape is recovering.
If you look across at the mountain, it's not burned black with just sticks all the way across.
Dana Harris is the district ranger.
As far as the severity on this fire,
for the New Meadows district of the Payette National Forest.
About 98% of it was moderate and low severity, and about 2% of it was high.
Harris says that's a good thing.
That tells us that this is a fire that's doing its natural thing on the landscape.
Prescribed burns were slated for this area before lightning ignited this fire in August of 2022.
There hadn't been one for a while. We have been excluding wildfire from the forest. We've been doing that for 100 years, just putting fires out as fast as we could. Fire is a natural process, and so this ecosystem is one that before European settlement there was fire. The scary part of wildfire is when it threatens infrastructure and human life.
Harris says because this fire was mostly low to moderate severity, it had some benefits for the forest.
It opened up spots for regeneration of different species of plants and trees, and it opened up the understory for wildlife as well.
We know now that this fire had benefits, but that's not something officials know right away. A specialized team is deployed to determine the severity of the fire and if there are still root systems to hold soil on the slopes.
We want to make sure that it'll be safe over the winter and when it rains.
University of Idaho professor Heather Heward was a field observer on the Four Corners fire. She specializes in fire ecology and management.
My job was to go around into the areas that were burning actively and observe what was burning so that I could communicate back to what's called the fire behavior analyst and say to them, hey, this fuel type is burning right now and this one's not.
At the site our crew visited, Professor Heward says she saw great signs of recovery. Here's what she noticed. Shrubs are resprouting, which means their roots weren't overheated. Non-native mullein and thistle are taking over the more disturbed sites, which probably means there was more heat there. The native yarrow and shrubs are coming in less disturbed spots. There are trees that still have green tops showing, which is a good indicator they will survive. They may also have more resources than they had before this fire since there is less competition from other trees. However, there are some trees that are dead and will likely be cut down. Professor Heward says it would probably take between 30 and 100 years for this area to return to what it was like before this fire. But for more intense fires in older forests, it can potentially take hundreds of years to get very old trees back.
That process is going to be helped by a lot of these patches of green that are going to drop their seed.
This area will continue to be monitored for years to come, and if trees don't grow back naturally, or if there's another damaging fire, the Forest Service may replant the trees manually. For Environment Northwest, I'm Sophia Bliss.
And our week-long series on living with wildfires wraps up tomorrow night. Environment Northwest reporter Cale Williams will show us a unique way you can help after wildfires.
We've seen the destruction that wildfires can cause, but is there a way to restore the landscape and fight climate change at the same time? We'll talk to one company that's trying to do just that tomorrow night in our final installment of Living with Wildfires.
Well, one man died after an early morning shooting in the Garland District. We actually have security camera footage of what happened, but we do want to warn you it might be a bit hard to watch. So this happened just before 5:30 this morning on Garland Avenue, right between Post and Howard Street. You can see a black SUV speeds in front of a silver truck and tries to cut it off. Then both drivers stop and get out of their cars. Within just a few seconds, one of them pulls out a gun and starts shooting at the other person. A local business owner talked to us today. She said she's been in the area a long time and was shocked by what happened this morning.
It's crazy to see this kind of stuff happening in Spokane, my hometown, where I've been here since, well, my dad bought this building in '79, so we've been here a long time. And no, we have never quite had this happen.
Law enforcement arrested Caleb Carter and booked him into the Spokane County Jail. He is charged with second-degree murder. New tonight, the Spokane County Sheriff's Office had to call in SWAT teams while executing an arrest warrant yesterday. The warrant was for an ongoing burglary and stolen property investigation. When deputies got to the house, they say they detained 3 people with no issue, but they thought 36-year-old Jay Lee was hiding in the house and armed. That's when they called in SWAT. Ultimately, the Sheriff's Office says a canine found Lee in the basement. Deputies were able to arrest him and booked him into the Spokane County Jail. Also new tonight, the Violent Crimes Task Force and Spokane Police found pounds of cocaine and several guns in a storage unit while trying to arrest a domestic violence suspect. Police say they followed 23-year-old William Dunnigan to that storage unit and saw what they thought was cocaine in his car. They got a search warrant, and then police say they found drug scales, drug materials, and several guns with serial numbers scratched out. They arrested Dunnigan on several charges, including possession of a controlled substance with intent to deliver. Now to your night beat with a quick look at the day's top stories. The man accused of killing 4 University of Idaho students was back in court today. Brian Kohberger's lawyers called a Moscow police detective to the stand. They were trying to get prosecutors to release additional evidence in the case. Their questioning focused on the detective's reports of the case, specifically when it came to cell phone records. The defense asked very specific questions about how he used computer programs in those reports. There will be another hearing next Thursday where Kohberger's lawyers will call more witnesses to testify. The Kootenai County Sheriff's Office arrested another suspect in a Coeur d'Alene shooting near Highway 95 and Upriver Drive that happened back in April. 17-year-old Ashlyn Hellstrom is now being charged as an adult after allegedly getting out of his car and shooting another driver. Deputies arrested Hellstrom yesterday. They also arrested 18-year-old Devin Spring the night the shooting happened. Both teenagers face multiple charges, including conspiracy to commit murder and aggravated battery. And a Kootenai County judge sentenced a former Idaho State Trooper to life in prison. Back in March, a jury had found Daniel Howard guilty of murdering his wife and staging it to look like a suicide. Howard still says he's innocent and that he loved his wife, Kendi. Kendi's family, though, told the judge they're haunted by what he did and what they could have done to protect her. Howard has 42 days to file an appeal if he decides to. The Kootenai County Sheriff's Office is looking for an inmate who was mistakenly released 3 days ago. That happened while the Idaho Department of Corrections was transporting 46-year-old Daniel Billingsley to Kootenai County to face local charges. Deputies say they're doing now an internal investigation to figure out why he was released. Tonight, a nationwide warrant is out for his arrest, but deputies don't think he's a threat to the community. Anyone who knows where he could be should call local law enforcement. And that was your night beat. So to learn more about any of those stories, you can head to our website, KREM.com. That was KREM 2 News, 10 at 10, where you get more news in less time.